engineering, and through UCF, I was a part of the undergraduate research program for runway driving. So, like I said, never did any internships, but doing this, I was able to be the lead author on a journal paper that is published, and I was able to present my findings at an international convention in Washington, D.C. And that picture there was actually my very first day of graduate school. So it's a little intimidating, but a lot of these research programs that you can do open up those opportunities for travel, even, networking and getting a lot of experience in a non-traditional route, I would say. So like I said, I networked then into transportation engineering consultant. So when I first joined there, I didn't have my engineering intern license. So if you go into engineering at UCF, some of the fields like civil do require that you test for this license when you graduate. You don't have to pass it, but you do have to test for it because it is something that a lot of jobs require. So since I didn't have that at the time I started this job, they had me start in landscape architecture, helping out with a lot of some of more of the CAD drawings and a lot of inventorying of trees. So it actually was what it sounds like. I counted trees for a little while. So once I got that license, I was able to move into doing DOT project scoping work, which is where we go on the side of the road. You can see some of those pictures there in the lovely climate and the rain. Inventorying the roadways, gathering a lot of that information to develop the scope of work for various projects throughout the district. So a lot of times in engineering work, contracts are fixed term, so you can only work on these projects for a certain length of time. So once that contract ended, I was able to move into safety and security certification of public transit. So that was based in Georgia. And what all that means is that I do like an audit of the different type of public transit projects and design that the agency is using and checking to make sure that all of the safety and the security components that are necessary and required are there. So we was able to have an impact on the operation of people in Georgia while working in Florida and making sure that all of it is staying safe. Now, the job that I worked for didn't quite recognize that line of work as anything in particular. They just called it management and they didn't really have a name for it. So when I was about ready to move on from this industry, because quite honestly, it was a very far drive from my house to that office, I wanted to go back into or wanted to go into theme parks. So when I was doing a lot of this researching of different jobs, I noticed things that I currently did in that position were labeled as systems engineering in other industries. So while I had no idea I was doing systems engineering, when I was ready to move on, I was like, oh, this is what it's called. So this was something that sparked my interest, and I kind of discovered that this is what I really liked doing. So because I had some of these common disciplines where I'm like, okay, all of this can apply to that industry, I was able to make that huge jump from civil into theme parks. So then moving into the theme park industry, I was actually labeled a systems engineer. So I was able to do live show machinery for Epic Universe. So I don't know, has anyone been to Epic Universe yet? Yeah? Great. So I was working on Les Cirques Arcanue, which is the circus tent stage show in the Harry Potter world. So on that project, I was able to do a lot of the safety analysis for the performers to make sure nobody's getting hurt, doing all the management of the requirements. So I kind of used my master's degree in engineering management and mixed it with a lot of the industry experience I had of doing requirements and then verifying those requirements. So that's making sure that what we say we need to do, we actually do it and we do it well. So a lot of the concepts that I used in this application actually came from the aerospace industry. So there's a lot of free resources on the internet that the government provides because it's funded by taxpayers. I used a lot of those resources to apply it to the project and thereby gained experience in aerospace while working in theme parks because there's a lot of similarities between theme park rides and space and aerospace applications. So the company I worked for at the time they were hinting that they were going to be getting out of the theme park industry as they were an oil and gas company. And because of that uncertainty, I wanted to make my next transition into the new field sooner than later. So because I had applied all those aerospace techniques to this project, I was recruited to join an aerospace company working on spacesuits. So from there, I went into Collins Aerospace doing the X-EVA spacesuit program. So I didn't work for NASA in particular. We were a contractor working to support NASA on their spacesuit program. So I did a lot of the requirements management, same thing, safety, making sure everything that needs to be done is done and done well. But aerospace in particular is known for contract cancellation and layoffs. So I was only there around 7 months and they decided to cancel the whole contract. It was $2 billion. They decided to just be done with it. And so this is where I really kind of clung on to a little bit more into that importance of having those transferable skills. So having been in all these different industries, the one that made me truly the most happy is being in theme park engineering. So I wanted to go back to the last company that I had just left, but I couldn't go back because I had just left. So they're like, well, we'll take you back as an independent contractor. So I said, great, sounds good to me. So I went back as an independent contractor to that same project doing controls engineering. So that is going to be all like the software, the buttons, the emergency stops, all the different components that are like beyond the physical, like not mechanical. So it's the control side. So there I was working on site towards the end of the project completion and doing a lot of the testing and documentation for that. So that's probably my most proud moment, I think, in my career is seeing that this project come to life. I can give you an example of it. So if nobody wants any spoilers, close your eyes. I don't know if the sound will come through, but what we were able to do was this is in the middle of the show, and the entire stage machinery involved in all of this is what we were able to do. So let's take a quick look. All right, so yeah, so that whole project was incredible. We did the stage that goes up, another stage that comes up underneath it, and all the stairs that collapse and go up. So a lot of it seems simple, but it is one of the most complex stage machinery that had been done at the time. So I never would have thought that when I started in environmental engineering, ending up being on a one-of-a-kind project, helping create Epic Universe. So I see in the chat here, you guys love that show. Thank you so much. I think I didn't do any of the creative work, but just being able to do the stage was just an incredible opportunity. So much like with all contracts that come to an end, right? Epic Universe is open, it is open to the public and everything. Had to move on. So when I was applying to different companies, of course, in the theme park industry, Disney was the one that took me on next. So I went right into environmental sustainability, which seems completely unrelated to anything that I've done, which is technically true. Um, but it really hones in back into my original degree, which is environmental engineering. So now I'm in the animal science and environment line of business doing mobile emissions reduction. So that's just different ways of, finding ways that we can reduce pollution from anything that moves on Walt Disney property. So now that I'm in a management role, it is kind of taking into consideration all these different knowledge areas that I've gathered along the way. So a lot of it is the theme park knowledge, project management, and all that engineering and even science, because environmental does include assets that we work on. It's mechanical, it's machinery. It's just all of it bundled into one. So my crazy journey is one thing, but hopefully I can help you give you some advice on where you can start. So one thing that I wish that someone had told me when I started was think about all the different industries that you like. So a lot of times people say, "Oh, do what you love." But for me, I'm like, well, I need to do what I love, but also I kind of need to live and eat and have money for things. So keeping that in mind, I was like, okay, so think all the different industries that you'd like. Maybe pick three, like your top three that interest you the most. Then find some of those common disciplines that are in each of those industries. And if you're finding something like, say, safety engineering, I know it's very specific, but and not offered at UCF, I don't think, but stick with me here on that. You could go into safety engineering. It's like, well, I could work in theme parks, I could work in aerospace, or I could work in transportation. So if at any point one of those industries become volatile, you'll be able to easily move into the next and still have, still continue with on your career. So like I said, just think about those industries that you're passionate about and what lifestyle you want to live. So, for example, civil engineering, the lifestyle is very stable. It's very much like your 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, in the office, sometimes out in the field, but it's very stable. Aerospace is very volatile. A lot of contracts pop up, they cancel, government shutdowns, various different influences on that in particular industry. And the theme parks, a lot of it is third shift, second shift, and third shift. So I don't work second or third just in the role that I am right now, but when I worked in theme parks over at Epic Universe, I was working a lot of night shifts because, of course, you're not going to be working on the rides when people guests are on them. Right. So it's kind of that lifestyle. If you're not really about doing third shift, then maybe theme parks or certain aspects of theme parks won't be for you. Just think about some of those things. So like list all the disciplines that are associated with it. So research job postings to see what they require, like if there's any certifications, like that engineering intern license. And then when in doubt, ask Copilot or GPT. Use that resource to kind of help you discover things where you just don't even know where to start with that. And then just finding, would look into each discipline that resonates with you. So if you find that one common theme, start looking for different jobs in each one. You can intern in different fields just to kind of get you an idea of what those are like. So, what does your STEM journey look like? So you could start in chemistry even, and then maybe pivot to food science. Maybe you start in mechanical, like my coworker here in the photo, her name's Kristen. And she started in mechanical engineering, she's got a master's in it, and now she's pivoted over into sustainability. So maybe you like coding and electrical. You can apply that to theme parks because it also works in industrial applications, oil and gas, everything like that, and then also theme parks. So you don't have to pick one letter of STEM, right? You do pick something to start, but the more tools and knowledge that you pick up along the way, the more problems you're able to solve. Because one thing that I learned as a systems engineer is that a system is very complex and there's a lot of disciplines that interact with each other. So the more you can know about somebody else's line of work, the better you're able to work with them and solve that problem. So, so some of my advice is consider the difference between a broad area of study versus going specialized. Like you can see my journey of it being very specialized. I will say is yes, it's possible to move around, but I did find it rather tricky because a lot of times, like I mentioned at the beginning, was, well, what are you? Like, what's your discipline? So a lot of times it's a lot of explaining, and it does get quite long when you have to tell every interview person that you meet your whole trajectory. Whereas if you do a broad range of study, it's a lot easier to kind of either go into a specialist or jump from group to group because it is so broad. Build on a lot of those strong fundamentals. So that's going to be, your math, your physics, all that good stuff. But communication, I think, is the biggest one. And I know people probably say it a lot, but genuinely, communication and teamwork is just the foundation of what it is like working in the engineering field. And of course, a lot of problem solving. So, like I said, seek internships or research teams. So maybe internships aren't for you. Maybe you want to stick more on campus a lot and maybe do that academic route. If you're thinking about maybe a PhD route or doing more research, explore those different options because I found the research team did have a lot of benefits. I think there was like some sort of tuition help. I don't remember, but check into some of those benefits there. And internships can also lead to, permanent employment. So don't be intimidated or discouraged by a few hard classes. So I know they always have like the weed out classes, right? For me, my hardest ones were Calc 2 and statics. And I'm gonna say it, I retook them, both of them. I used my redo credits. But if I had given up, I would have never been able to do all these amazing things. Just because math and physics aren't my strong suit, it doesn't mean that's like you're going to be doing that all the time. I haven't done that in quite a while, really. So don't be discouraged. Keep going because there are so many different aspects of engineering that you can do in your career. So, like I said, your path doesn't have to be linear. Just keep learning and growing. And this can open doors to a lot of exciting and a lot of meaningful careers. Because, like I said, working on Epic Universe was one of the most impactful things that I think I've ever done. And I'm hoping that you guys can, pick some path in STEM that you also will be able to get to work on some of these incredible projects. So, all right, kind of wrapping it up. A lot of the photos are from working at Disney, and a lot of it is fun. My group does get to have a lot of fun a lot. But yeah, any questions? You guys can always feel free to email me as well. So.
The chat is open for questions as well. Other than obviously your epic project, is there another project that you really loved being a part of?
Yes. So a lot of it was in the transportation world, so it's a little less glamorous than, Epic Universe, but a lot of it is like the escalators. I worked on escalators, elevators, and then buses. So when I went up to Georgia to go visit a lot of those sites, just
Mhm.
being on them, knowing that I contributed to their safety and making sure that everybody is, it's able to function properly, it's accessible for people, and that it is safe is the most important one. It's really rewarding too. Because I don't know if you've seen in the news, like sometimes there have been escalator incidences where they have malfunctioned, causing a lot of hazards and injuries. So just knowing that I can protect people from those incidents happening is incredibly rewarding.
Awesome. Thank you.
Let's see one here. Given the chance, would you do anything differently? Actually, I say yes. Yes, I would. Knowing what I know now, I probably would have started with a more broad um, field of study. I would have preferred to have I gone into computer science, knowing what I know now that I actually like doing code and doing different software. But I would have had a much easier time had I picked a more broad major, like mechanical or electrical. Electrical would have been really useful and a lot easier to navigate. So, when worked for Epic with your current job, is it ever directly with the theme park or are you hired through a different company? So, yes and yes. So, Epic Universe, when I worked there, I was hired through a different company. So, the difference between Universal and Disney is like so Disney now, I work for Disney proper. Um, Universal does have their own core group of people, like you can go work for Universal. But a lot of the projects are used by contractors. So there's a significant network of companies that are manufacturers, contractors, and consultants that work for both. So when I worked for the company called Oceaneering, they worked for both Disney and Universal. So they were able to be a part of more than just one exclusive theme park. And Disney does have a lot of their in-house people. So we have our own engineering teams, we have our own internal consultants that take that place, even though we do use consultants as well. And the biggest difference, I would say, between being on the consultant manufacturing side versus the what we call the client side is that the manufacturers are the ones doing the actual work. So their mechanical engineers are doing a lot of the calculations, they're doing a lot of the physics, and then the client side will come in and review the work that they've done. So whereas Disney's doing all of that in-house. And then I guess technically, I was a contractor to a contractor to Epic Universe. So you can keep daisy chaining like that too. All right. So this was very different than what I'm used to hearing regarding careers, but it is comforting to see that there are so many possibilities within engineering. So you're studying forensics, and engineering is not your calling, it's okay. But break down an image, maybe see why so many people choose engineering, and there's so many pathways you can follow. Oh, thank you so much. And thank you. Thank you, Angie. Would you say chemistry is a broad enough field of study? Which specific field at Disney would you recommend? So chemistry, yes, I would say that is it's a good broad field of study. And chemistry would be a requirement for specialized fields. So a lot of times I can think of chemistry being used in our water sciences group. So in the animal science and environment group, we have to test the water for all of our animals, right? Working in the labs, running laboratory work on animals in the vet, and a lot of food. So there's food science, and then there's also material science. So it depends on what you're interested in particular, because chemistry is very broad. So you're going to think of that as a prerequisite to specialize into something. So like, my recommendation on that one, study chemistry and then maybe do internships in some of those specialized fields to when you're doing your interview, you can let them know that you're fully, got your degree in chemistry and you have experience in that other field. And now the only thing I would talk about as far as recommending things at Disney is that you can specialize. Like we have very, very niche positions. Like we have people what's called animals in film and TV. So their whole job is to ensure that any animal you see in a Disney production is treated well, kind, and is very ethical. The ethical treatment of animals, essentially. Very specific. I mean, we have people who specialize in birds and spiders and butterflies. So that's a specialist that you can have a niche in, but the job openings aren't as available as one would like them to be to accommodate a larger number of applicants. So it is very competitive in that route. Common pitfall I'd caution against. Yes, I would say, because a lot of times when I was in UCF, I saw a lot of people drop out of the engineering fields because they were getting like B minuses and C's in some of their classes. Or like I used both of my redos. And like I said, if you had dropped out, you wouldn't have been able to continue on to do that. So it really truly is a don't give up situation. If you truly feel that engineering is your calling or whatever STEM field that you go into, if you're passionate about it, keep with it because even if it's a little harder, to do some of those things. Like you're not going to gravitate towards that in your actual field. There will be adjacent positions on different teams where your expertise will be valued.
Any other questions? Don't be afraid to unmute yourself.
So the most difficult class for environmental engineering, I can tell you this one right now, it is thermodynamics. That was by far the hardest class. It gave me the most stress because I had used up both of my redos by that point. And that was just a really hard class. It makes Calc 2 and statics look easy. But once you get past that one, that's all you need is the one, I think. Because I think now there's different paths. I know because like I feel old now. Back in my day, and we didn't have all the different options that you could do. Like the flow chart was just one path. Like everyone got one flow chart. And now there's different flow charts for different paths that you can do. But to be fair, everyone else struggled in thermo, so it wasn't just me.
What was your work-life balance like when you were in college?
So I think that it was decent. So the work part of it, I worked 2 days a week at Starbucks. So I worked on like Friday and Sunday, doing 6 hours there. I lived at home, so my parents helped pay, of course, for living, which I was very fortunate for that. Didn't take out any loans, so all the money that I'd earned from Starbucks and through the research team went into my tuition. So I was able to study like Monday through Thursday. People pull an all-nighter now and then, like it's kind of unavoidable, really. But while in college, I'd really tried to balance it to making the weekends my work, and then during the week was school time. So, and then like for grad school, I know that's a bit like farther out, but I worked full time at at my job, and then because my job paid for my master's degree, so I used either I flexed my work hours because I'm in an office job to where I could go to classes if I need to, or do presentations, or used time off. But I took only two classes, two or three at the most, it was mostly two classes each semester in grad school so that I didn't overload myself.
Yeah.
And then also in grad school, I decided to make an album, a music album. So, just why not layer that on? So I guess I self-inflicted, more work upon myself.
Awesome.
Oh, what genre? So symphonic metal flute. Yes, I do symphonic metal music on the flute. You can find me on Spotify. I'm Sarah Vertinen. Instead of a W, it's a V. Yep, so I'm on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, all that good stuff. Give me a follow. Give me my 0.001 cent per stream. But that's one thing too that I do encourage is having like a hobby too that you can let out some of that stress. So it's like, you've got work stress, you've got family stress, you've got school stress. Having that creative outlet or just whatever gives you joy is really important to keep in mind too. Well, thank you, Angie. And then another recommendation too, though, overall at UCF is take advantage of some of the campus life. Because I came in as a transfer as well. I didn't like kind of, start out with everybody. I didn't live on campus or anything. But really made use of the whole like the Knights Got Talent stuff. Got involved with, some of those activities and everything, which was also really fun.
Yeah, everyone here is a transfer student,
Hmm.
so you're
So,
preaching to the choir.
oh yeah.
I was also a transfer student, so I
Hmm.
totally agree. I didn't live on campus either, so being involved was super important.
Yeah. Because I know one thing is when I transferred from the University of Oregon over, they're on quarter system and this
Mm,
is semester. So every class I took over there didn't count.
Oh
I had to
man,
retake everything. All
that's
my math.
unfortunate.
I mean, because I had random classes in volcanology and seismology. Doesn't apply here. There's no volcanoes here in Florida.
Yeah. Coming in from out of state as a transfer student is not an easy transition.
No. Even when you were from Florida, left and then came back, it was like a whole different, like, alternate universe that I came back to.
Yeah,
It was an adjustment.
I believe it. Any other questions from the group? Going once, twice. Okay. I don't think there are any more questions. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing your journey today. It was really interesting. I've been to Epic Universe 3 times now, so just hearing that part was really fun.
Oh, amazing.
And I loved that show. It's such a good show.
Oh, good. I'm so glad you liked it.
Yeah.
I
I
didn't even cry when I saw it for the first time. I was really
I
proud.
cried. I was just gonna say I cried the first time I watched it too.
Oh, good. Wasn't just the project team.
Yeah.
That'd
Yeah,
be
no,
different.
no, it was really good. It was really good. But thank you so much for sharing, and I will definitely be in touch for another semester. I really love your story, and you're a perfect candidate to talk to our transfer students too, so I love that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And best of luck with everybody with all your studies. I know you're going to do well and just keep with it. Don't give up.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, everybody. That is it for today. We were going to have a second speaker, but he had a family emergency and is flying out to see his mother in the hospital, so he will not be making it today. I will have the video posted by the end of today, and then your assignment, the industry speaker survey, will be open later today as well. I will stick around if anybody has any questions or anything like that. So, other than that, have a good weekend. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you guys for asking great questions, and I will see you guys later.